Hey guys, it's Brian from R500 Garage, and today on Firebird Friday, we're painting the bird. I'm going to show you how to set up your gun, how to mix your paint, and get to painting your Firebird. So with that, let's shut up and get to wrenching on this week's episode of Firebird Friday. So, since we're painting in a small 2-car garage here at the house, and we don't have a huge compressor, we have a basic 28-gallon compressor, I went ahead and bought one of these R500 guns off of Amazon, around 70 bucks. Yeah, there's a link down below. You can buy one of these, and you might make me a nickel or two. But what makes the R500 gun unique is that it's a low-volume, low-pressure gun. So on a small air compressor, this gun excels. Before we start painting, we got to get through a few things to set everything up correctly. Number one is temperature. Here in the garage is around 70 degrees Fahrenheit and around 40% humidity. So with that means we got to change some things on this gun. This gun here, using a 1.3 tip, we are going to make sure that our fan control is about halfway out, about a medium fan. We're going to make sure our flow control, this knob here, if you tighten it all the way in, take it back out about 2.5 to 2.25 inch turns, kind of see where you're at. For your air, leave this one open, but make sure you use a regulator and a filter. Now, your pressure, you want to keep your pressure around 16 psi. And the way you measure that is when you pull the trigger, how much pressure are you pulling out when you pull that trigger? That's when you set your air, not when it's just like this. Make sure to turn that. With that in mind, knowing that we're shooting single stage paint from Summit, I think we can mix this thing 4 parts paint, 1 part reducer, and 1 part activator, and a cap full of fisheye reducer. I think it's going to make this paint lay down absolutely amazing. The only thing we have to deal with is the dust in the air because we're in Arizona and it's dusty as hell here. So before we get to painting, we need to pull off all the masking because we went ahead and shot all the jams on the car a couple days beforehand, so that way we can remask and paint the whole car today. So let's get into it. Let's do this. All right, first things first, we need to pull off all the masking paper that we used when we painted the door jams. And if you guys missed that video last Friday, there's a link up above. You can go and watch how we painted the door jams and the underside of the trunk there. Now, if that's all taken care of, now we have to mask again, but this time we have to back mask, so that way when we paint the body paint doesn't shoot onto the under the jams for the trunk and the doors. So what you do is you take part of the sticky tape, put it on all those edges like Brandon's doing right here, so that way when you close the trunk and you close the doors, it leaves just a little bit of gap for that paint to hit the edges of the doors and the trunk lid, but not go all the way into the jam and mess up that freshly painted surface there. Next, I'm going to go and do the jams on the doors. And again, take your tape, mark it to the outside to where that flap just kind of bends over. When you close that door, that flappy side is going to make a seal between the 2 panels, and no paint will get in when you're spraying across those body panel gaps. It's pretty easy to do. Kind of fun, actually. Put some music on and get to it. Here, Brandon is finishing up the trunk while I was doing that door. Tell you what, having a partner and a buddy with you makes this painting job go by so much faster. So again, Brandon is just simply taping off that edge. You can kind of see the blue and the yellow tape. It's along that edge and it's folded over, sticky side on the body, flip it over to where it flaps onto itself in a sense, and that way you have kind of a flap that when you close that trunk lid, no overspray is going to get inside the trunk, but it's going to allow you to get that paint on those edges of both those panels. See what it does. All right, then again, I'm on the bottom of the door there. Again, you're going to be painting the bottom of the door, so go ahead and again back tape the lower part of that door, as you can see there. Then I went around and just made sure that any last minute sanding, anything I felt needed to be hit one more time, make sure that no one sat anything on it. If there was, I just went and did a quick sand down at 320 or 400 grit, just a few spots that I thought needed just a little bit more TLC before we laid down that paint. Grabbed the air hose on the compressor and went through and just started blowing out all the crevices, all the spots. Then I came back with rubbing alcohol and wiped down the entire Firebird from nose to tail, from top to bottom, making sure I removed as much as possible any kind of grease and oil residue that had been left on the car. And it took some time, but again, it's these little things that make for a perfect paint job. Next, we went ahead and loaded up the gun with our Summit single stage paint, and Brandon suited up to be safe with his PPE, and away we went painting the Firebird. Now again, painting this car in a 2-car garage, because these cars are so long, it did make it a little challenging to get around the car. We did have to open up the garage door several times just to move around, and I think that led to most of the dust that you'll see later on that's on the back of the trunk lid. That was kind of a unforeseen thing, but there was the only way around it was to open that garage door in between mixing cups, get some fresh air. It is Phoenix, Arizona, and it was like 81 degrees inside the garage while we were painting. So we got somewhat smart, and right before Brandon went to shoot the driver's side of the car, I did wipe it down with a tap cloth to try to minimize as many little spots of dust particles we could get. But again, it's, you know, once it's shot, it's shot. There goes Brandon finishing up the driver's side. So while Brandon was painting, I went ahead and grabbed my iPhone and thought I would come in and get some video of him close up on how he's painting. So the way we did this, we did a 70% overlap or 50% depending on where we're at with things. You can see it's kind of slow. He's about 6 inches above the surface there. And this is that R500 low volume, low pressure gun that I recommend that you can get on Amazon. And of course, there's a link down below to get one if you haven't already. Telling you what, after using this gun for both primer, using the 2.0 tip, and then using the 1.3 tip for this single stage paint, I was really impressed with this gun. And I tell you, I may not even use my purple Harbor Freight gun again for primer. I may just use this one gun and buy a second one for primer, buy another one for clear when I go to do 2-stage paint on a future vehicle or something. Really enjoyed the gun. Once you get it dialed in, like I explained earlier, I felt like this gun did an amazing paint job. And after it hardens, we're going to show you, and I think you will agree, this gun does a pretty damn good job. All right, so over on the driver's side now, Brandon's going to go ahead and finish off painting the roof. Kind of wanted to tackle that first, kind of work our way from top to bottom on the car. And look at those lights. Man, I love how much light is in the shop now when we're doing anything. Whether it's painting or working on something, click on those lights overhead and pow. Loving that. That was a Christmas present from Brandon. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. But again, kind of see his style there. Not too fast. Making sure that gun's like about 6 inches from the top there. About the same those settings. And I'm telling you, man, when we go in close on this roof, you're going to love seeing what you see from this R500 gun. Now, in between coats, I would go and take a pair of tweezers and try to pick out as much of the lint and dust and bugs as I possibly could from the paint job. Boy, let me tell you, there was quite a few that I had to try to pull out, and some just wouldn't come out, so we'll have to deal with those nubs on down the road.
That's right.
All right, so now we're going to turn to the side, the passenger side of the car. Brandon's going to lay down the paint here. Tell you, I enjoyed the Summit paint. Brandon enjoyed it as well. Single stage, easy to paint with. I was a little worried, but once we understood the 4 parts paint, 1 part activator and 1 part of that reducer with about a cap full of fisheye, man, this paint just laid down beautiful. And using our 28-gallon compressor, this low volume, low pressure gun is perfect for the small shop guy, 2-car garage guy who may paint 1 or 2 cars. Other than that, I think this setup that we have here is perfect for that type of situation. All right, now towards the back of the car, Brandon's just finishing up that first coat, taking his time going up and down. Again, about a 60 to 70% overlap is best on this single stage paint using this R500 gun. And it's, look at that, already coming out beautiful. After this first coat was done, we kind of stood back and marveled at how beautiful it was. The second coat laid down even better, which made everybody just astonished that we could pull off this kind of a paint job using these kind of tools in this environment. So we'll let him finish off here, and we'll get into the next part of painting our 67 Firebird. All right, here we are. This is the second coat going down. Brandon is just about finishing up on the roof of the Firebird here. And again, the second coat laid down so much smoother than the first coat. The first coat, we were a little worried we might have a ton of orange peel, but that second coat did something and it just smoothed it right out. Very impressed again with this setup. All right, Brandon's putting the finishing touches on that second coat, dialing in that last little lower quarter panel there before we call it a night. It took about an hour and a half to paint the car completely. And again, some of those wheel wells there. Hour and a half to paint the car completely. All right, the bird is painted. Let's see if we can kind of get in here. So it's not a perfect mirror, but there's hardly any orange peel right here. Now up here on the roof, you can see there's a little bit of orange peel there, so we have to sand that out. But then towards the middle, yeah, it's a little, because we started at the top. But coming down through here, that's nice. There's no orange peel there. Then of course on the back of the trunk, it's little nibs in here, little whatevers, but and a little bit of a slight orange peel. But mostly what you're seeing is dirt and just dust from Arizona. Same way here, look at that. That is pretty cool. And right in here, maybe just a tad bit. But again, mostly what I'm picking up are these little nibs, and they're just dust. Now, the roof is a bit, orange peely. But I think we can live with that, or maybe we'll just go ahead and sand this down. Jonathan recommends sanding it down. And of course, back to this door, it's actually very little orange peel, and of course, we can always cut that and make it better, which I think we might do after all. Very well done, I think, for us. And again, there's a few little things here and there, body-wise, that, over on this section here, there's a dip here and a dip there that somehow we missed, but we're not going to cry. It's 50-plus-year-old vehicle, and it's not a Barrett Jackson, so I think we're just going to say yay. All right, guys, we have finished the Firebird. This project has come around since back in September of 2020 when the car first came from us from Oklahoma, from my brother's family. Long ways it's been. Woohoo! Well, at this point, now the fun begins. We get to put it all back together and do the entire interior, and that's what I'm doing now, ordering all my interior parts. We can put this together because we are going to Firebird Fest in St. Louis in May in 2026. So with that, guys, have a great weekend. Make sure to check out our Friday night wrenching live video tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific or Mountain Time, Arizona time, and we'll catch up to you then, and we'll answer any questions you have about restoring your car, or tonight's topic is about Pontiac motors and engines. So tune in tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, back here on Arrowhead Garage, and we'll see you then. Have a good day.